lot of us are very comfortable being armchair critics, but when it comes to gathering people together, that's when you know. If you've organized an event before, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, very quickly. I'm going to, a lot of us have, in one way, whether directly or indirectly, talked about religion. I know that earlier when I was speaking with the MEC and Jennifer earlier, that we were saying about the impact of the religious organizations in our community. Africans, especially ethnic minorities, were very, very religious people. Very religious. How many people here go to church or mosque? I was expecting to say 100%. Well, not 100%, but at least we have almost 90% of us here who are very, very religious. The truth is the religious communities or the religious organizations we have in our communities are actually a fantastic opportunity for us to disseminate information into the community. They do play a role whether you like it or not. You may be one of the very few, like some of us, who have slightly different opinion about how religion should be practiced. But the truth is that about 60% of those religious people are adherents to what their bishops and what their GOs and what their imams say. So if imam says don't go to bed until 1 p.m., you have to pray from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. You see, about 60% of the congregation doing that. So that means that they're a force to reckon with. So if we're talking about how do we manage the impact of Brexit moving on, we cannot do away with the religious community and the religious leaders. So I'm bringing on to the rostrum Dr. Kyari, who is going to be talking about religious involvement, moving forward, Brexit. How do the pastors, the bishops, the imams, how do they engage with the community in making sure that we prepare for the impact of Brexit? Please put your hands together as we bring on Pastor Dr. Kyari.
Hello, everyone. I'm privileged to be part of this forum today, and I'm quite delighted to be here. I should have been actually elsewhere for a conference, a retreat, but I said, no, I'm going to be here because even though I'm a pastor, which is my main calling, I happen to be an educationist, and I'm interested in advocacy, and actually my specialization in religion was church and society. Because if I'm not impacting society, then I'm living in an island, and it's how much impact I make to the lives of people. Because Christ did make impact in the lives of people. That's why he was not religious. Actually, I'm not a religious person, because Jesus was not religious. That's why he was at loggerheads with religious people. They crucified him. They hated him for his guts. That he dared to go to the common people and help them out. They dared to go to the prostitutes. They dared to deliver those who were bound of the demons, the castaways, the people who were leprous. Jesus associated with them, people the Pharisees didn't want to have anything to do with them. And that's the kind of faith I project. And in fact, I'm more interested in talking about faith than religion, because religion is truly an opium of the society. Though I don't believe in Karl Marx's theory 100%. I do believe that it is an opium. It's the one that divides the people instead of bringing the people. I'm going to leave my slide and just talk more in a natural way. A couple of weeks ago, I went to preach in one place, and I was coming back. A Pakistani gave me, he was the cabman, and he asked me questions. We started to dialogue. He's from Pakistan, and I happen to have a church in Pakistan as well. He was amazed. And we talked. He asked me questions about Jesus, and I answered questions. And we talked with him. I talked about Quran, and he was surprised that I know. I said, yes, I grew up in a Muslim-dominated community. I'm from the northern part of Nigeria, for information. And I grew where I schooled, where only 10 of us were Christians. And I had to study. I was forced to study Islamic studies. I was angry about it, but I'm happy I did now. Glad I did, because I'm very knowledgeable. I can dialogue without having a quarrel or fight. My cousins are Muslims and so on. Now, coming back to what we're saying, Brexit, I'm not going to do my presentation. I did some statistics that I wanted to present because I'm an academic person. I like research and facts. Brexit came in as a surprise. I did vote for in, okay? I don't pretend about it. And I was shocked. My wife and I was mind-blown that we were out, okay? So it has come and we can't change it. Now, what can we do as a religious person? I'm contented myself. What can we do? we know that one of the major concerns is religious intolerance. It has started already. And we know that people are afraid what's going to happen. There are lots of people who are victims. It doesn't matter your faith, whether you're Christian or Muslim in the UK, your tendencies that you're going to suffer. It has started. There are spiral effects. Polish people are suffering. Pakistani and the church is also suffering from that. That's one of the impacts. I have done research that shows clearly that we do have our rights. People are afraid that if Britain goes out, therefore our rights will not be protected. It's not true. There are some human rights that are going to remain fundamental. I'm not a lawyer, but I know there are some human rights that are going to remain fundamentally because they're not part of EU. There are European laws which are not part of EU. So we will still be protected, some of the rights of our religion. The freedom to worship, to associate will be protected. But how can we educate our members and make sure that they know those rights and do the right thing? I was just talking to our Honourable MBE. I said, I like to have frank discussions. As a pastor, I tell my members, do the right thing. If the Home Office says you should report, go report every Monday, Tuesday, whatever day. Don't miss a report. Don't. And I said to them clearly, don't do arranged marriage because you want to stay in Britain. Don't do the wrong thing. Do the right thing. Don't pretend you're marrying someone where you're not. We'll just have a child with us. I said, look, I hated to hear that a pastor or an imam or someone would encourage his members to do the wrong thing, to sign the wrong papers. Then what am I preaching to you? I'm sending you to hell. Because Jesus would not do that. Okay, he would not. He told the woman who was brought in adultery, okay, she was caught in adultery, and it was a purely patriarchal society that hated women and didn't give them their rights, okay? She was caught in adultery, and it takes two people to tango. Yeah. And they brought her to his presence, and this is why he said, okay, all right, so what do you say? If any one of you here has no sin, she'll be the first person to throw stones at her. And he was busy writing. He just knew that one of them said, I remember I'm an adulterer, I'm a thief, I'm a liar. It's just that I've not been caught. And then one by one they left the place, okay? And he said, where are they? God said, okay, if they can't condemn me, I'm not going to condemn. But he said, don't go and sin. Don't do it. Now, as a community, as a church, as people who have faith, and as the MC said, 90% of the black community. On Sundays, if you want to see who go to church most, is the black community, including Muslims. They go to mosque on Sunday. They go to their mosque on Sundays. They see their kids, and I'm amazed on a Sunday, which is good. So one of the things that we need to do is to educate our people, to read, to understand the implications, the religious implication. Okay, how do you dialogue without fighting? How do you identify radicalized situation and deal with it in the church setting or in the mosque setting? How do you make sure your community members are enlightened? They're not just educated, but enlightened, and they engage. I studied up to PhD by God's grace in Southwark University of London, and I yet want to reach out to the community. Our church is based in this estate. We started from the estate here, and we go to the people who are not educated like us. I'm not always in my time, I do have it, but I'll go to them. We want them to be out of their shells. Because some people, it's lack of knowledge. And we do talk about drugs, we do talk about guns, we want them to be out of it. So Brexit is fundamentally going to affect it, there's no doubt about that. But how do we survive it? How do we empower ourselves spiritually, economically, politically? It's what the church must engage the members, and I talk about it. And that's what I want to challenge you today, that look, dialogue is very important. Education is very important. Let's not pretend that it's not going to impact on us. It will, but how can we survive it? How can we move forward? How can we have inter-community, inter-religious dialogue without having a fight? Just as a roundup, I had the Pakistani guy I told you, he asked me one question. He said, who do you think Jesus is? He asked me, and I said, this is not what I think, but what the Bible says, and this is what the Quran says. And we parted without fighting, no disagreement. And that's how I grew up initially in Nigeria when I was growing up in the north. We didn't have to fight, but now, if I did say that, I'll be in trouble. Yeah. All right, I'm not from that community where it's predominantly being destroyed by herdsmen every day, and I'm doing advocacy. I'm on a blog, and I'm fighting for people to understand that we don't have to kill one another because of our faith differences. Brexit is not going to affect you because you're a Christian or Muslim. It's going to have the same effect on everybody. If it's housing, it's housing. They don't care. All right? So that's what is fundamental, that you need people. People have one common problem. If it's housing, it's the same problem. If it's employment, it's the same problem. But the people who divide us are the people up there. They know as long as we're divided, we will never be able to know our rights. As long as we're ignorant, a true faith person and a faith leader should educate their people to come together. There's one commonality. Human beings have one need, and their basic needs must be met: security. All right? Maslow's theory talks about the basic needs, the hierarchy of needs. And we can't but run away from that. We can't be teaching faith, and not talk about the acts, the doing, the thing. So that's what I left my research and the statistics. But as faith leaders, we need to educate our people. We need to synergize. We need to move together and empower them so that we can survive Brexit without having the adverse consequences. Thank you very much.